And welcome back to Live Impact News here on the 13 News Now app. It is 2:33 p.m. on a Friday. We have almost reached the end of this week, and there's really no better way to ring in the weekend than by visiting with sports anchor Shane Fordham. Shane Fordham joins us in studio now as he is right. The rest of us are easing into football season, right? Football season is on the way. We had our first preseason game last night. The Carolina Panthers were a part of that. Training camps have begun. Colleges are back on the field. Old Dominion University, Michael Vick, and Norfolk State University, we're easing into it. Shane Fordham is living it. He is out at practice most days. He's talking to coaches. He's talking to players from all of our local teams, including the Washington Commanders. You are fully in football mode, I presume.
Yeah, fully. And it's a lot going on right now. Like you named so many storylines in all the teams you just named. Yeah. ODU, NSU dealing with revamped rosters. Virginia Tech, huge revamped roster. Honestly, all these teams are dealing with revamped rosters, both having sort of different success from the prior season. And then you have the Commanders, another revamped roster, different journeys, right. But a lot of revamped rosters for the better, I would add. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of these teams, all of our local guys do this year, Hampton being included in that as well, how all of these local teams do for the 2026 season.
And it's a lot of change. In college, you've come to expect that change, right? The nature of the college football game now is that the transfer portal is going to hit and rosters are going to reform every year. I will note that Old Dominion actually has quite a bit of general continuity in their staff, right? Coach Ricky Ronnie is one of the longer tenured coaches, certainly in the Sun Belt and maybe in college football overall.
ODU, their roster is more revamped player-wise. Offense, they only have one returning starter in Devin Roche. Right. Defense has more returners than the offense, but for the most part, I mean, this is a completely new team, for the Monarchs, definitely for Virginia Tech, definitely for UVA.
The quarterback over at ODU, he's been in the program for a while, but this is his opportunity to start and lead the team.
First time in that driver's seat.
In the age of the transfer portal, when you get a quarterback who is willing to sit and be the number 2 for your program for multiple years rather than leaving, I think that maybe says a lot about that quarterback's mindset and how dedicated he is to making sure that program is successful, how comfortable he is at this place. I have not talked to Hennikel, obviously. I haven't been out at practice in a couple of years now, but I think that's cool that he's stuck around rather than transferring out, and now it's his turn. Before we get to the Washington Commanders and that big addition they made, you were at Norfolk State practice. Can you give us anything in terms of the sense over there in Spartan Land?
It's super competitive. We expected there to be a position battle for quarterback this year with Izzy Carter transferring, Otto Kuhns graduating out, and Coach Vick, he said this to us in practice, that he is being more out front and more vocal about the fact that it is a position battle. Last year he said he was kind of played it a little close to the vest last year, not wanting to really draw the attention to the competition that was going on in practice, but this year he was straight up about it. He said there is a position battle at the quarterback position, but that's not the only position battle. There are multiple position battles at different spots on this field because of the influx of players that they have this year. Over 40 new players in the locker room, along with some adjustments to the coaching staff. So we're seeing position battles at D-line, O-line, linebacker, corner, between returners and new guys coming in. That includes transfers and incoming freshmen, who a couple of which are pretty dynamic players, even looking at our local guys like Keontae Bumpers and Tyree Diggs from right here in Hampton Roads. Yeah. So it's going to be it's an interesting dynamic over at NSU right now.
And I think you want competitors, right? You want your starters to be guys who love to compete. You don't want it to be guys who shy away from that. And so hopefully that brings out the best in everyone over there in Norfolk State. I'm really looking forward to year 2. I know that year 1 they had some growing pains, and it's Coach Vick's first time in that seat. Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to year 2 at Norfolk State. I can't wait to see what they do.
And the players said that too. I talked to Del J. Bailey. I talked to Rontravius Perry being a returning linebacker, and he made a good point to us after camp or during practice, was that really everybody was a rookie last year. This was a first time for really the entire team, from Coach Vick obviously being his first year as a head coach, to even the returning guys having to learn a new system, having to learn new teammates, learning a new scheme, having to deal with the attention. NSU football never being on a national stage, like they were last year, like they will be this year. So it was really a first for everyone, which, like you said, growing pains would be expected.
I didn't even think about that aspect of it. The amount of media coverage you get with Mike Vick as your head coach, that in and of itself is an adjustment, and maybe even beyond family, community, friends saying, hey, what's it like over there? What's it like playing for Coach Vic? Just a lot of added eyeballs. But now, hopefully you get used to it and elevate. So
and it's interesting, too, because ODU, who was obviously is a bigger program and had a great season last year.
Great season.
You could say NSU was still talked about more than the Monarchs, not being as big of a program, but being more so at the forefront of media coverage. Having national media with BET, always around, ESPN wanting to stay tuned into what Coach Vic was doing in his first year with his new team. So it's kind of crazy when you think about it, the fact that ODU, the bigger football program that is used to closer to the attention that NSU received this year, had a great season last year, one of their best in their best season in a while.
Yeah.
Was still not talked about as much as NSU was.
It's the power of Michael Vick. I think culturally one of the most significant football players of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Michael Vick, wherever he goes, there's going to be attention and headlines. Let's just note, since we mentioned ODU here, we're going to get to the Washington Commanders. Let's just note here that Old Dominion last year, 9-3 in the regular season, won their bowl game, so 10-3 overall. And in week 1, they played Indiana, and they lost 27-14.
The
they
national
lost
champions,
by 2
Indiana.
Scores
Yeah.
to the national champions.
Yeah.
So excited to see what ODU does. Ricky Ronnie, very comfortable over there now. And I think what we'll do here, let's do one more thing real quick, which is that I want to go over very quickly here the fact that we're talking about Norfolk State and we're talking about Old Dominion, and those two teams play each other to open the season. Norfolk State versus Old Dominion, September 5th, 6 o'clock p.m. That's a Saturday night. What a night for Hampton Roads. I love to see teams within the area playing against each other. I think it's great for the entire community, the entire area. And so that is going to be a really exciting matchup for you as well and your sports department in covering that.
Definitely. It'll be ODU's season and home opener. It'll be game 2 for the NSU Spartans after what should be a win in week 1 against Winston-Salem at home. But that'll be an interesting one. We didn't see the Spartans get any wins against a Division I team last year. They're facing a big Division I school, Division I program early on this season. So it'll be interesting to see how both of these new teams of sorts, sort of clash, go head-to-head in Norfolk.
Going to be a huge day for the city of Norfolk, the space of Hampton Roads, and a very busy day for Shane Fordham.
Very busy.
I'm sure you got that whole weekend probably chalked dedicated to that game.